Namaste. This video is, I haven't got a title yet, but this is kind of following on from the video that I posted named Christ Consciousness, or Achieving Christ Consciousness. And this kind of follows on really nicely from that video. Okay, so there is Christ consciousness, which is the highest level of consciousness that is attainable whilst still being humanly focused. So just to reiterate and to explain what that means is, whilst in manifest creation as a human form within the beginning of the fourth density that we're in right now, and the beginning of what will be eventually 5D consciousness here on Earth, that is Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is knowing that the humanity collective is one being, knowing that we are one family, knowing that we are all equal to one another, knowing that no matter what race, creed, colour, ethnicity, sex, whatever, we are all one family. And it is treating one another as you would like to be treated. It is knowing that the whole human collective is one collective. Is there a level above that? Is there a level of consciousness above Christ consciousness? The answer is yes. There are many levels. The level above Christ consciousness, basically you wouldn't have to come back and reincarnate. You wouldn't need to come back to the earth whatsoever. And in some cases you wouldn't. But in other cases you choose to. Such as many great masters, great teachers, great sages, great mystics have done. And are still doing. To help the human collective to awaken to their true potential, to their true knowing. So you do have that choice. You have the choice to choose to come back here instead of knowing that you're stuck in this reincarnational loop going round and round and round, having to reincarnate back. Now, there's something that we all really need to know, and this is what I've been shown very, very clearly. You never actually have to reincarnate back here. It's always your choice. Now, the beings on the spirit side have a very powerful way of convincing you to reincarnate back. Whether that is showing you memories of events, of things that you could have handled better, people who you hurt, the feelings of ways in quote unquote you screwed up. But know this, know that you are an aspect, an iteration of the source. You are perfect in every single way. The beings on the spirit side, it's their job to continually try to convince you to agree. It's free will. This is a free will universe, and this is a full free will galaxy, and our solar system is 100% free will. So you can get convinced to agree by your free will choice to reincarnate back to quote unquote alleviate karma. Now, the law of karma, it is only in existence if you feel like you are a mortal being, or not even that, if you feel like you are a soul that is separate from the source. understand this, that the ultimate truth is that you are not just an aspect of the source. You are not just an iteration of the source, but by the very nature of you being the iteration of the source, you are equal to the source. Every piece, every pixel within the hologram is equal to the whole. So in the true way of looking at things, in the level of consciousness that is higher, that is above Christ consciousness, would be full non-duality and full realization and actualization of your divine self and your divine inheritance, realizing that you are beyond duality entirely, and that you actually don't have to incarnate back to right wrongs, because there are no wrongs to right. Right and wrong are relative and are subjective. What is right is wrong to another. What is wrong to another is right to the previous. Right and wrong, good and bad, are just different ends of the divine spectrum. The divine spectrum is one, nothing's linear, but imagine it just being one line. At one end is negative, and at the other end is positive. Neither one is right nor wrong, good nor bad. Neither one is black or white as such. One side is divine positive, and then the spectrum goes all the way through to the other end of the scale, which is divine negative. The ultimate truth is that God is all things. If we want to use the word God, source, the one, the infinite energy, the infinite love. Within that infinite love is everything and nothing. The ultimate level of consciousness is the void realm, where you are infinite potential, where every single idea, every single knowing exists, along with a pure peace and harmony with all that is. And that is actually outside of manifest creation entirely. The void realm is not within manifest creation whatsoever. It's above all of the densities of consciousness. It is the ultimate aspect of your beingness, is your conscious awareness, your infinite and eternal state of perfect conscious awareness. If you are perfect in every single way, shape and form, and you are an iteration of the source, of God, of the one, then how could you possibly ever do anything wrong? And why would you need to rectify negative karma when negative and positive are all on one scale within the one being of your oneness? It's only when you start dividing the positive and the negative end of the spectrum and you say, oh, one is this and one is that, immediately you are in the realm of duality. And then you find yourself back in manifest creation. Everything is by free will choice. That's the way things work. And though the beings on the other side have a job to do, ultimately, when you reach this level of consciousness, you just do not have to come back. You don't have to do it. You do not have to do anything. Now, that's not to say that at some point in the infinite, timeless, spaceless awareness of the infinite moment of now, of your oneness within the void. That's not to say that this is so hard to describe. At some level, you may choose, again by free will choice, to become physically focused again, not necessarily on Earth, not necessarily as a human being, and not necessarily as an entity which will go through suffering, and certainly not necessarily the suffering that goes on Earth. This is a particularly brutal duality-based realm. The Earth plane is incredibly catalyst-filled, incredibly difficult, and this is how some souls find themselves in these endless reincarnation cycles. And it's only when you actually gain the full understanding, and not just the understanding, because there's one thing having the realization, but there's a whole other thing to actualizing that realization, to becoming the known. Not just knowing the known or discovering the known or figuring out what you are and who you are, but being who you are. Outside of duality, outside of the contrast of the dark and the light that we have on Earth, in the Earth realm. The Earth realm is the ultimate realm, the ultimate maze to find your way out of, because it is the ultimate illusion. The Earth realm is the ultimate delusion. It's the ultimate place where you are bound by you're bound by every single cosmic law, every galactic law. Everything within manifest creation is bound by cosmic law, by galactic law, a universal law. But when you reach and actualize the level of consciousness above Christ consciousness would be fifth density consciousness. When you reach above the fifth density consciousness, which is the sixth density consciousness, you are in unity mindset. When you are in unity mindset, you are beyond duality. This usually happens in mid-sixth density. Is it possible for a 3D human being, whilst in manifest creation, as you are now watching this video, to reach this level of 6.5 density consciousness or above? From the midpoint of 6th density up through 7th, 8th, you're above duality. It's completely and utterly possible, and it is probable. You see, everything works by probability. My higher self keeps showing me probabilities of this, probabilities of that. Everything's a probability, because ultimately you have the free will choice. You have the free will decision. The ones on the other side can try and show you things to make you want to come back, to make you choose to come back, to manifest creation, to quote unquote rights and wrongs. But they don't put it like that. They never ever say that, because there is no right or wrong. They more show you what has happened in your life. Okay, so when you're going through your life review, we all go through a life review. We put ourselves through a life review. It's like an automatic process. The more that you can become non-dual within this 3D lifetime, and even test yourself, right, by doing some dress rehearsals. I do this on a regular basis. my higher self showed me to do this as a practice, to give myself life reviews, to think of deliberately triggering events where I feel like I did somebody a wrong, okay? And then to remember my truth, that there is no right or wrong. There is only divine positive or divine negative. There is only one scale. There is only one thing happening. There's only one mind thinking. The divine mind, the one. And you are an iteration. You are an aspect of that divine mind. How can God do something wrong when God is in all things and is of all things? Now think about this. God is in all things and is a part of all things, is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, is everywhere all the time, as a part of everything, in everything, as everything. So how can anything be right or wrong? That is just a part of the illusion. So the non-dual understanding, the non-dual actualization, the becoming, the being, the non-dual aspect, whilst in physical manifestation, is the key. And this is not to say that you go around doing terrible things to each other, hurting other people, and just thinking, oh, but I'm God, I can do this. No, that's just going to trap you even more into this realm. The idea is to be the observer of all things. Be the best version of yourself, whatever that means to you. But become the non-dual aspect, and begin to start viewing everything with a observer state of mind. Even war, as terrible as it is, you don't have to like it. Now I've got to be clear on this. We've got to be clear on this. You don't have to like something or feel comfortable around something to accept it. Acceptance in non-dualism is not saying that I love the person over there for what they are doing, being the murderer. I love that country over there for going to war with this other country. I love them for going to war. No, it's not like that. It is that you love them anyway because you see everything and everyone, including them and what they are doing, as a part of you, as a part of the one divine mind. Having all of these thoughts, one of them being the murderer, another one being the war and the people who are going to war, the leaders who commanded the war. What you put into darkness draws further darkness to you. What you think about, you bring about. What you resist persists. When you say those people over there shouldn't be doing that, you are holding resistance to that act. And then you become more and more resistant to the act, and then you delve and sink more and more into the world of duality. The more you sink into the world of duality, the more you come back and reincarnate. Because the ultimate level of consciousness to gain is the non-dual aspect of your truth. The ultimate aspect of the source is the observer who, yes, creates and observes, who simultaneously experiences and also observes that experience in a neutral standpoint, in a neutral sense. We're going to be doing some tutorials in how to become more non-dual in everyday life, at work, with people who usually rub you the wrong way, with events in life that usually trigger you, make you angry, make you resentful, draw you back into duality. So there are exercises that my higher self has shown me for myself, for my human focused soul, to begin to become more and more non-dual. The next video will, whenever I can do that, because I'm also battling with health problems at the moment. My physical self is battling with health problems, which I'm not judging. I'm trying not to judge. Okay, so I've been shown, don't judge that, because that will draw more of that to you. So we're going to be doing some videos, some exercises on how to, on a day-to-day basis, in a practical way, whilst you're physically focused, how to practice to become more and more non-dual. How to become the observer self in situations that would usually really, really piss you off. Okay. One love. Namaste.